Okay, so we're continuing on with things everyone should do in their life. Oh, God, it's funny. Tonight I'm obviously emotional, but because immediately it triggers things in my head. Um, Fall in love with a movie that you watch 5 or more times. It's funny. It can be anything. It only has to matter to you. Again, these are things for you. It only matters to you. I remember 2 movies that happened to with for me. Um, One of them was Jurassic Park. I like the technical side of movie stuff and knowing how the bread's made. It's that idea of behind the scene. I mean, I was a theater technical director for a while. Um, it's the how do you have a vision and make it into something and real, and how movies have done that. And I'm not like everything in my life, I'm too interested in too many things to be all knowledgeable about those things. There are people who are just passionate about that, but I'm into it enough to go to find those things fascinating. And the Jurassic Park movie, when I saw it, just caught my attention. It was a turning point in movies, in special effects being real. Special effects, they were alive on the screen, unlike other things I'd seen before. And if you go back, I can tell you the whole history of movies leading up to it and what movies led to it, because there are important things that lead up to it. Things like the Terminator movies and the silver guy in the Terminator movies, the CGI that makes that is the same CGI that brought the dinosaurs to life in Jurassic Park, and the same guys involved Steven Spielberg, and the knowledge that Industrial Light and Magic, who creates all of those effects, that their ability, all of a sudden they reach this point with Jurassic Park where they can put dinosaurs on the screen and they're alive. And Jurassic Park was interesting because it is absolutely the moment everything changes. What I mean by that is, if you go to the original Jurassic Park movie, it contains every way that these movies were made over all of movie history. So if you pick it apart and you know where to watch for them, Jurassic Park includes puppets, includes stop action animation, it includes people in costumes, it includes life-size animatronics, and it includes complete CGI, all in the same movie. It's because when they started that movie, the CGI effects, that if you go to Jurassic Park, the second Jurassic Park movie, as far as I know, all the dinosaurs are CGI. There are some live interactive animatronic ones, but basically it's after that, they now know, Steven Spielberg knows he can write anything into the script and he can do it with CGI. When he starts Jurassic Park, he doesn't think he can do that. He doesn't know he can do that. And initially, if you read the book, I'm going to duck out of the screen again. I'm crashing around in the background. Give me a second. So, this book, The Making of Jurassic Park, if you get into there, the book gives all these sorts of things about how it's done. And what the book tells you is that when he starts the movie, the only full CGI shot that is intended is the one of the T-Rex chasing the Jeep. I think it's a Jeep in that one. I know people pay different amounts, so sometimes it's a Ford. And anyway, their vehicle, and it's chasing them, and you see them in the mirror, and the objects in the mirror are closer than they appear, and all that. That one of the T-Rex running down the road is the CGI shot that's intended for ILM to create for the movie. Some point during the middle of the movie, ILM comes and says, we've got a rough cut of it, we want to show it to you, of this shot, and Steven Spielberg sees it and is blown away. And it proves the animals are now real in CGI. And he actually rewrites the whole end of the movie. The Jurassic Park, initially, he cuts out a character, I really wished we got to see, because you if you've seen the movie, you recall the Triceratops that's sick, the whole scene where he sticks his arm in the poo, but then and it's breathing. He lays on its side, and okay, that's an animatronic that it's laying there, and they actually have a full size T-Rex. Well, that's not the only T-Rex they made. That T-Rex was a mama, and she had a baby, and the baby's there in the initial stuff, and that baby can walk around and be ridden. It's a full animatronic. And in the original writing of the movie, the kid, remember the boy, and he gets hurt and all of that. Well, to escape to the boat, they go down the hill to the boat while they're, running from velociraptors and everything. And the kid rides the T-Rex or the Triceratops down to the boat. Never seen that shot, but according to the book, that's what's in there. But rewrites the whole thing, and you get the scene with the T-Rex inside the lobby, and the banner from it falls to the ground around the That is totally a CGI shot and created entirely because ILM proves they can do it, and Steven Spielberg wants to use more of that. So that was a movie, all of that. I just fell in love with it and was like, I'm sure when I was a little kid, when Star Wars came out, I'd have gone and seen it 10 times in a row, but I was a little kid and that wasn't a possibility. My grandma and grandpa took me to Seattle to see it, and other than the movie, I remember watching him go around the block to get our tickets because the line was so long it went all the way around the block and past and around again. So he went by, and then he came around and went by and finally got us tickets. And I remember how amazing that was, but I didn't have any point of reference. So, yeah, I thought it was cool, but it was only later that I realized how it changed the world. Jurassic Park did that, and I loved it, and so we were in Lubbock, Texas, and I went to it over and over again, and it allowed me to see smaller and smaller things because I could focus on little things. I also remember watching it one time, and there was a young couple sitting. I can't remember if I was alone or if Dawn was with me, but there was a young couple and sitting in front of me, and the movie's scarier than you might remember. And then the big theater and everything, and you're young. It's got scary moments, and I remember this young couple, and I remember her, they must have been like 15, 16, and he's all brave, and she's all like, oh, I'm ducking into him, and all of that. At some point, she leaves and goes to the bathroom, and he was her through the whole time he was gone. He was like, oh, 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 and she comes back, and all of a sudden, he was all tough again. It just cracked me up. I remember watching that, and because the thing is I knew every time a velociraptor was going to jump out or whatever, and I found myself watching them instead of watching the screen because they just amused the heck out of me watching them do it. So that was the first one. The other one, believe it or not, God, this is going to sound sappy now because of how I've seen, but again, remember, I'm into how movies are made, but it's more than that. I fell in love with the movie Titanic and watching it in the theater. And yes, it has some of the most amazing effects and all those sorts of things. But I absolutely like the sappy love story and the whole dang thing too. There's no doubt about it. And Kate Winslet's boobs were all right too. And, if you ask me for my perfect movie, I'd slot Kate Winslet's boobs in there someplace. She seems to be naked in everything, or was for a long time. I was like, Kate Winslet's in it. Let's go see this movie. Because, he was going to draw her like his French girl or whatever. I'm like, I'm good with that. But no, something about, I can tell you as a guy who's been involved with plays and all those sorts of things, the highest compliment I could give to a movie would be walking away from a movie after seeing it and going, God, I wish I was involved in that. What's it like to have done something that amazing, that good, and be able to see your name go by on the credits? And I don't care if I was the guy who parked the cars in the parking lot or something. I'd love to have my name involved so I could be a part of the experience of creating something that great. And so yes, I hope, and don't let anybody give you crap about what it is. I don't care what your movie is, but yeah. And that's one that's passive. I don't know how you create that situation. So some of these are maybe what I hope for everybody's life. But in this case, yeah, God, like something enough to just watch it over and over again. Yes, Top Gun might have been my first movie to watch like that. Top Gun was a really interesting one, and I'm glad you bring that up. Top Gun plays a unique spot in my life because my sophomore year of high school and my junior year of high school, both times, my best friend and I skipped the last day of school to go do stuff. We just showed up at school and disappeared. And on both times, this is something you won't have ever experienced. Almost any of you out there, because most of you are way younger than me, is we skipped school on the last day of school and watched Top Gun in the movie theater 2 years in a row because it was still there. That had a whole lot to do with how much the Navy had spent on it, and the Navy was using it to recruit and things like that. But it was still drawing enough people in that literally we saw it in the same main run theater the last day of school 2 years in a row. And so that stands out to that. And I'm not sure I saw it 5 or 6 times in the theater. There was something about the fact that I loved airplanes and all of that, and so I couldn't tell you if I saw it more than those 2 times in the theater. But the fact that it was still there at the end of the next year, we kind of went, well, now it's a tradition. We have to do it again. But I definitely love that movie. I am looking forward to the next one coming out here shortly. There's lots of things about that from the movie making side. For one, if you watch the first Top Gun movie, again, movie I love, when you see an airplane fire a missile in there, they only got to do that once for filming that movie. So every single missile fire in that movie is the same one. They just filmed it from 97 angles and used it over and over and over again because the Navy would only agree to fire one Sidewinder missile for that movie. And that's what you got. And so, which I hear it works so well for the Navy. I hear they've been much more participatory this time around than they were last time. They went, yeah, we should have given you more help than we did. I'll be interested to see when it comes out in the theater with COVID still going on and stuff. Be interested to see if the Navy recruiter is sitting in the lobby like it was last time. Because they did that for a long time, the Navy recruiters. So when you came out all hopped up they were like, yeah, you should join the Navy. There's no way in hell you're going to become a pilot. They don't tell you that part. But we'll stuff you on a boat someplace if you'd like. So...